The next year we had another great team. Noda and Casey and those guys graduated, but we still had Joel Kreibel, and I was playing a lot. Not that I was helping a ton, but here and there I'd throw in a few scores. Tiger Woods was the dominant player in college, #1 all year, lowest stroke average in the history of the school. Just really, obviously, on a very high trajectory in terms of the PGA Tour and that type of thing. Had come off a couple wins in the U.S. Amateur. And so we go out and we have a great year. We played well all year, ended up finishing 4th at the honors course in Chattanooga. And Tiger, I think, to this day is the only guy to ever win a tournament, win the NC2As with 3 rounds in the 80s. Or I'm sorry, 3 rounds in the 60s, and then shooting 81 the final round and still winning by a couple shots, 2 or 3 shots. So just showed how tough the honors course in Chattanooga was. But we had a great group, and that was a bit of a revolving door because I think we played with a different team every week out. Tiger obviously was playing #1, and Joel was a consensus All-American playing 2, and I was kind of helping at 2 or 3. And then, in our 4th and 5th spot, we were kind of rotating guys in and out to see who was playing the best. We didn't quite have the depth we needed to probably win that year, but it was a great group of guys and really working hard. And then subsequently, my senior year, Joel Kreibel had an awesome year. He ended up becoming one of, I think, at this point, the only 4-time All-American that Stanford's ever had. And Kreibel's career at Stanford doesn't get spoken about a lot, but really phenomenal career. He and I both missed qualifying for NC2As that year out of the regional tournament by a couple shots. So it was a close call and a bummer to kind of end senior year that way. But looking back on it, wouldn't have done it any different. It was a pretty neat run there. So.
Yeah. Good team spirit. I mean, golf is an individual sport, and yet I know you've emphasized a lot in your discussion here, team and playing for the team and being prepared. And that is able to translate in both in your day, but also now as coach. You feel that real team.
Yeah, I think that's to me. That's what I put a lot of my stock into. I just feel like the best college teams that I've been a part of, that I've watched, that I've coached, are the teams that really play as a team, even though it's a pretty individual sport. So the question is, not what does the individual lead? It's what's so and so shooting, or how is so and so playing. And so when that becomes the standard protocol, I think that the guys play better. I mean, when you're playing for your buddies, I think it creates a lot more importance and gets you into it a lot better. With all that being said, though, I value this idea that guys are individuals, especially kids that come to Stanford. They're free thinkers and they're going to do what they want to do. So the biggest thing is just to get them on the same page and wanting the same thing, the real special teams are the teams that truly come together in that. And so it's been neat. I think you look at all of the individuals we just talked about, they all have their own little story to tell, and that continues to this day. I think that each guy that plays at Stanford, just isn't out of that cookie cutter kind of golfer, junior, high-level junior golfer box. They all have something that's special about their application and why they're here and why they think Stanford's the place for them. So.
Maybe you could reflect a little bit on this past championship where you were the coach and kind of also how the team prepared for that and kind of how the course laid out for your team and how that worked.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I look back on it and just grin because I can't believe that we were able to accomplish something like that in a pretty short period of time. When we took over, when I came in, or when the new regime change happened in '04, the team was in a bit of a dire strait. I mean, we were 75th in the country, something of that nature. Recruiting was on, the pause button was on, pushed in, and so I was like, what's going on here? How can Stanford golf, with all of this rich history and all these people and all the support network, be where it's at? And so it was a bit of a jump start. We had to kind of get it going, and the guy that's really been a major part of that success since I started is Rob Gruby, one of our seniors. He's a really special kid, and he was going to come to Stanford regardless if they were 75th or #1 in the country, just because he values what Stanford's all about, and his parents had gone here, and just the whole reason for why Stanford's special. But he's been kind of the spearhead in a lot of that work ethic and the kind of the change in attitude towards the whole thing. He's our lone senior this year. So I was lucky because when I came in, I had a couple really talented guys in the team that were younger that automatically bought into what we were talking about and trying to do. And then through some graduation, we had some guys that were really working hard. Maybe their talent level wasn't quite where it needed to be, but they still believed in the system, you know. And so luckily enough, we were able to land a couple big recruits, and Joseph Bramlett and Jordan Cox and Daniel Lim and some of the guys that are on the current team. And so it's created a great atmosphere. And that's the great thing about college golf, is that in a year or two's time with good solid recruiting, you can really flip the switch. You can go from a mediocre team to a very good team in a short time. It's different than other sports where, you know, you've got 11 guys on the field at a given time or something like that. So it's a little quicker process. But last year's team was special. We started out with a goal. We hadn't won a golf tournament since the year 2000 as a team. And so our goal was to win one tournament. And so we started down that path of how do we do this? What does each guy need to do? What's your recipe for success? And we started that process, you know, kind of working at it. And we go out and in a nail biter win the first event. Zach Miller, our senior captain, had never won before. He makes like a 12-footer from off the green on the last hole to tie Colton Oast for the individual title. And Colt's doing some great things now in the professional ranks. But so Zach, you know, got off the schneid quickly there. The team got his first win since 2000, and that just started this ball of momentum that kind of kept getting bigger and rolling and rolling and rolling. And so we just stayed on that bandwagon and rode it as hard as we could, because we had a group of guys that really wanted it and were willing to kind of put in that extra work ethic and believe in that. And so we got back, we qualified. Probably the closest call we had all year was at the regional tournament at Arizona State. I think it took well into 20 under par to get through, and we were 7th or 8th out of, you know, they're taking 10 teams, so we didn't make it by much. It was really a close call there, and we had guys step up when they really needed to, and that was kind of the story of our whole team, was the depth. We had 8 guys on the team, and all 8 of them played on a winning team at some point during the year. And we also had the lowest fifth score, kickout score of any team in the country by almost a shot. So that was a pretty significant statistic, and I think kind of echoing what I was trying to say earlier about the depth as being key. But each guy, as we made our path towards NC2As, we had each guy kind of play their own little role. Daniel Lim's final round 68 at the Karsten course in regionals was probably just as big as what Rob Gruby ended up doing the first round of NC2As with 66, I think. So it was pretty amazing to see these guys come together and work towards that process. I think that looking back on the NC2A, we played at the Golden Horseshoe in just outside of Williamsburg, Virginia. It's a wonderful old Trent Jones course. It couldn't have been suited better for our team. We were a team that drove the ball very straight, and we putted pretty well. And those were the 2 keys to playing the Golden Horseshoe well. So we had one practice round, and we all kind of got around at dinner that night. We looked at each other, and it's like, this doesn't seem real, because it's too good to be true. This is our course. You know, the mood from the minute we were on the golf course to when we collected a trophy was just one of like total confidence, which was something. I've been around a lot of sports in my day and a lot of teams and played on great teams, but I've never felt that like I did that week at the Golden Horseshoe. And so hopefully we can replicate that in years to come. But it was just an awesome week, and the guys really stepped up and played well. And it wasn't so much about us playing great as it was just playing consistently. I felt like after getting out of the blocks in good fashion and having a solid first round, if we could just minimize mistakes and keep the ball out of the water on the par 3s, we'd have a really good chance, and that's what we were able to do. So, it's funny, because I think that guys, myself included, you kind of think if you're going to win an NC2A championship, you have to do something real heroic, but it wasn't that at all. It was the guys kind of treating the tournament as another tournament and understanding that they had the ability to do the things, to kind of add up to the greater good, and they were able to stick to that game plan, and it all worked out. So.